I'm specialized in algorithmic trading on cryptocurrencies. So I do it in several businesses. So I have one with Gustavo here. We are partnering to launch a fund in Singapore. Also, I have a small platform where you can rent this algorithm to trade for you on your account. So everyone can use my algorithms. So this is in the objective of making money, of course. But I have other type of algorithms that just automate things on the blockchain. Many things can be done there. So maybe we'll talk a bit.
Thank you. Well, sounds very interesting. Algorithms. So Nadia, please, give us some information about your background.
Is it working? Here I wear a few different hats. So I am the director for investor relations at Vitality, and I work very closely with Amanda. I'm also the founder and partner of Sea South Capital. It's a venture fund in South Africa where we focus on bridging the gap for early stage entrepreneurs. And then I also work for, the non-profit organization Women in Tech, and that I focus on building the ecosystem around women in technology globally. So we have 22 chapters around the world, and I have a keen eye for developing out Africa as well.
Fantastic, thank you very much. And Amanda, welcome on stage.
Thank you very much. So as Nadia mentioned, we work closely together at Vitality. Vitality is a female-focused business accelerator. Headquartered here in the UAE, we work with female-led startups and co-led startups that are looking to scale, not just in this region, but globally as well. And how that dovetails in further is helping them to raise investment so that they can scale those operations, whether it's with tech or without. And what we're focusing nowadays, and probably the purpose of this panel discussion, is how to increase the value within those entities, specifically using blockchain technology.
Jerome, I think everybody knows you by now. Well, thank you very much for the introduction. So I'll probably start with you, Jerome, because you clearly focus very much on blockchain in your presentation. So this panel is going to be a little bit more kind of interactive and focusing more on real businesses, how they are living this new reality, which is the blockchain reality. So tell me about your involvement with blockchain companies, and then we'll ask each of you to give your thoughts about these questions. Starting with you.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I'm a software developer and I've been coding smart contracts. So my interaction with companies all the time and very often, even more these days, is to qualify the need and basically engineer the smart contracts which will connect to a business model. So whether it's an NFT marketplace or AI managed hedge funds, which I'm doing at the moment. But yeah, basically, as an engineer and developer, I always look at the business case and always tracks. Do you actually need smart contracts to do it? Does it need to be decentralized? Very often it's not the case, but right now, because we have this bull market, still bull market, even if there was a correction, more and more people want to use blockchain because it's a buzzword, and so when you're the one responsible for the tech, you say, yeah, maybe I want to get paid, but at the same time, I don't really think it should be, it's the most efficient. Databases are very efficient, faster, and can store much more value. So sometimes you can advise people to really consider the world of blockchain.
Thank you. Yes? Should we run the film? Okay, sure. So, yes, okay, let's play the film and then we'll continue with the questions.
Hello everyone, my name is Pradoshi. I'm co-founder and CEO at Drive. Drive is a decentralized ride-hailing platform which aims to empower both the driver and rider community. No doubt ride-hailing platforms are booming taxi industry, and with the influence of technology and economic incentive, the topic of mobility was never as interesting as it has become today. But after talking to 1,000+ drivers, we realized ride-hailing platforms charge huge commissions which can range from 20 to 35%. But as we started digging deeper, we realized the problem is not about charging huge commission. The problem is about the existence of the central entity who control everything and anything in this ecosystem. Value creators are unduly controlled and suppressed by the ride-hailing platform, be it the huge commission, surge pricing, or price manipulation. Ride-hailing platform controls everything in this ecosystem. We at Drive are bringing a solution that can bridge the gap that has been created by the ride-hailing platform. A unique no commission model where drivers get to earn 100% of the fare that is being paid by the rider. You might be thinking then how we make money. We charge drivers a platform fee. Our platform fee is as small as $45 to $55 per annum as compared to the commission of $150 to $250 that the driver pays on monthly basis. We also bring in market dictated pricing, which means that we as platform don't dictate the price, and at the same time we are able to take away the surge pricing from the ecosystem. We're also bringing transparency and freedom for both driver and rider to make their own choices. With Drive's unique franchising model, we'll be able to bring open governance and will incentivize both driver and rider for their active participation in the ecosystem. We have two applications in place, driver and rider application. Our USP lies in our patent pending fair pricing model, which allow driver to know the details of the ride before he accepts the ride and also give them the power to give discounts or premium on the rides, and driver can choose which rides that suits them. At the same time, riders will be able to compare the offer from the different drivers and choose the driver based on their preference of rating, proximity, or fare. Now you might be thinking, why do we need blockchain for Drive? We are using blockchain to bring transparency and trustlessness and bring fairness. That's why we do a fair calculation and driver allocation using smart contracts. We are also gamifying loyalty, rewards, and incentives. We are bringing on-chain governance using DAO and building a decentralized NFT-based operation. Talking about NFT, Drive is the first platform which is bringing in DeFi and NFT in the same place. Through staking your DRF, you can actually get operation rights of Drive operation for a particular city, and your operation rights comes in the form of an NFT. Drive has a lot of utility in the ecosystem. Starting with paying your subscription fees or availing discounts using DRF token, you can actually engage in the governance of DRF. Not only that, you will be able to participate in the franchisee operations by delegating your DRF. You are not only earning an average profit per month, but you'll actually earn the profit from the real operations of that particular city. The market opportunity is huge. The global market is expected to grow to $385 billion by 2025, whereas Indian market will grow to $55 billion. That's our first location to start operation. Now when I'm talking to you, we have already closed our seed and private round and working on the IDO launch. Also, we had the plan to launch Drive operations in Bangalore with 10,000 drivers in April, but because of COVID second wave in India, we have to postpone with the launch. But at the same time, we are working to parallelly launch Drive in Paris and in Brazil. The idea is to take Drive globally and bring decentralization in the mobility space. I have two more co-founders who work in operations and technology department. We have a strength of 17 people working in both tech and operation departments of the team. The global taxi industry is changing, and it's time for us to change as well. They say the only thing that you need to disrupt what we call is already disrupted is willingness to fight. We are ready. I know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Nadia, I understand that this is your company. Would you like to give a little bit more information about it for so that we understand your entire structure?
Thanks, Nicole. So, not my company, but one of the companies that Vitality works with. So Drive comes out of the TDFI Accelerator, and this is the reason why this is showing on the screen as well is because this was a female-led business, and this goes to what Amanda was saying is businesses that, industries that are already being disrupted, like Uber, with Uber and the different ride-hailing platforms, add a layer of blockchain onto that, and it has a different utility. So basically, Drive she is a female-led startup, and she didn't come from a blockchain or technology background, so she's a chartered accountant by trade. And this is also goes back to what Jerome was saying about the consciousness and blockchain for good. She basically did 2,000 Uber trips on over quite a short period of time, because being a woman, she can't use the public transport in India. So she understood from the drivers that the 30 to 40% of their pay gets taken by the companies they work for, and she wanted to disrupt that industry. And she's actually just raised 3.35 million on her seed round on tokens. And
This is really impressive.
yeah, and this comes from somebody who was never into technology or has that kind of background, and this is what
It's fantastic to see, so that there's so many opportunities, you know, and you don't have to necessarily be a tech, wizard necessarily to really enter the space, but this is accessible. It's becoming more and more accessible to a wider audience. No, it's fantastic. And Amanda, anything else that you'd like to add? What about your involvement with blockchain companies? Like going back to questions that we were discussing with Jerome earlier.
I think probably we have a lot of people in this room here today who are fairly new to this. It's a relatively young area in business, and we're all still learning and growing. What we're experiencing is founders coming to us and saying, right, I want to differentiate my business. How can I do that? And I think blockchain is probably one of the first areas to look at. How can you separate yourself from the competition? Straight off the bat, as Gustavo pointed out this morning, and several other speakers have pointed out this morning, if your business has a transaction within it, you can build blockchain into that business and record your transaction.
And it is as simple as that.
It really is as simple as that.
Many ways.
And I think that's probably why we're all here today. Let's simplify the conversation. Let's understand how we can apply this in business and the purpose of this panel. So what we're seeing is a number of founders coming to us and saying, right, okay, I understand that this technology is about. How can I differentiate my business from my competition, and is blockchain one of those areas that I can differentiate? Take that conversation forward. How does that then increase the value in my business, and what else can I do with it? Can I tokenize my business? One of the biggest obstacles that we're seeing right now are startups raising money in that first early stage. As Nadia pointed out, with Drive, she has raised over 3 million in tokens. She's raised it in tokens because raising in that early seed stage is the hardest element to raise. So if you can build your business using blockchain technology and tokenize your business, you're not only then more attractive to potential investors, you're increasing the value within your business, you're differentiating yourself from the competition, you've now created your own funding to grow that business.
Thank you. I mean, that's very, very, enlightening, very, very interesting indeed. And my next question is, clearly also, of course, linked to blockchain. Is maybe Jerome might be able to guide us on this. Is what advice would you have for people trying to develop blockchain companies? This is a little bit more technical. Let's say someone wants to start from scratch. What advice would you give them? How would they start this process?
I'm Pierre.
Oh, pardon, sorry. Yeah.
So, no, I mean there are so many ways to start in cryptocurrencies, in blockchain. Everyone has ideas all the time. Everything is yet to be built with blockchains or other types of protocols. So, how to start? I don't know. Take care, because if you start, it will consume all your free time. That's for sure.
So who are the experts that can be consulted to make this process a little bit more easy?
Yeah, I think YouTube again is a really good place to start. There are a lot of tutorials for everything you would like to do, and the experts usually give everything for free there. So you just follow a bit what interests you also. It's important to be interested in what you are doing, because otherwise you will not go till the end. So yeah.
I mean, the truth of the matter is that, the blockchain, okay, you said it's not a technology, but I mean, really this is how I'm still referring to it. it's really, it's being absorbed at all levels, clearly in the, accelerator space, in the small, business ventures, but also banks, like I see it also within my organizations, like everybody's talking about blockchain. Most people don't know what it is, but of course, it's the only way to remain competitive is to really, understand, enter into this sector, educate ourselves, and then see how we can use it in a practical sense. So another question that we have is, what advice would you give people who want to invest in blockchain companies? Any thoughts in relation to that? Anybody would like to answer this question? I'm now looking at Jérôme.
You can invest in SegurityNet and SegurityDAO, so the ticker is AGI, and the second one is SDAO. We just launched those two. AGI has been there since 2017, and SDAO since two weeks. We did the IDO on Uniswap. But aside from that, I think you should be careful. If you're starting with investment and everything, I'm a developer. I'm not giving advice on investments. Every time I have friends asking me which coins or where to invest and everything, it's like, don't invest any money that you cannot lose, because it's a very dangerous.
Yes, look, there has to be a lot of due diligence undertaken, but which is the country that has at present, the most of these blockchain companies emerging? Would you say is the United States? Is it China? It'd be interesting to, or is it Eastern Europe?
That's the thing, is it's decentralized, so you get things from everywhere, so you get things from the US, which has been generating a lot of innovation historically, but you get actually quite a bit from China. The three major exchanges are Chinese, Binance, OKX, and others. But I think the good thing with blockchain is that anyone who has internet and YouTube can actually start considering things. I was discussing recently with friends in Senegal who are new and very good artists there, and they're looking at NFTs, and so now they have the franc CFA, they've been robbed by France for many years, and now they can have access to liquidity or funding directly with cryptocurrencies. So definitely financial inclusion for the developing world is actually a very good venue for using blockchain, and that's why actually I was interested in at the beginning. Yeah.
Venezuela.
In Venezuela and other countries, they had a lot of inflation with their national currency, so actually using Bitcoin is actually less of an issue than what we can have in Europe or the US when we have a stable currency like the euro or the dollar. But so yeah, they use a lot of crypto. The other one was Zimbabwe, where they're using Bitcoin as well.
Thank you. That was I think that was very interesting. Thank you very much. And I now have a question for two ladies. You're doing some admirable work for women in tech. What advice would you give to the women technology business sector or women entrepreneur that are getting into this space?
Thanks, Scott. So I also mentor for the Founders Institute, and it was actually through Adia Rossi, the CEO of Founders Institute, that we built our fund. And in South Africa, to find tech talent that's at the caliber of Europe or Asia is you have to look really hard. So at the moment, what we're trying to do is develop more of a ecosystem where the tech talent the ecosystem is built around them. So just going the other day, speaking to students coming out, graduates coming out of university, they can't find jobs in what they've studied, and they want to know, okay, how do I become accessible, or how do I develop myself, not for now, but then for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years, so that I'm guaranteed a job. And that's where we advise them, well, I'm no expert, but go do a little bit of research on blockchain technology and how to transform businesses, because then your skill set in the next, right now, in the next 5 years will be worth something, because there's not a lot happening right now in South Africa. So just advising the younger generation to be curious, be interested, and teach themselves. Go to YouTube. Apparently that's even the best place to go. So it's just getting the younger generation interested and educated on the concept and curious about it.
Thank you very much. Amanda, anything else to add?
No, I think that is probably been absolutely spot on there. It's about educating yourself like any other area of business. If you're going to enter into business, you're going to educate yourself on the product or service that you are selling, the market that you're selling to, the channels that you're going to use, and the strategy. It's really not that much different when you're embracing either a technology or a non-technology, as we're calling it today. Within your business, you need to educate yourself on it, understand how it works. You don't necessarily need to be the person that builds it, the tech wizards behind. When we saw all of that information on the screen earlier with all the letters and numbers, it's all quite overwhelming. As an entrepreneur, you don't need to necessarily know that aspect, but you need to know someone who does. And you need to be sure that they're credible, and the only way you can do that is by attending events like this, speaking to experts like this, educating yourself and knowing what's right for you.
Absolutely, and I think, yes, it's great to see that, women are entering more and more the sector, which is very profitable, and hopefully also the, pay gap is going to become, more and more narrow, in the future, more and more opportunities, and, this is really wonderful to see. So, I'm not sure how we're doing on time. We are on the dot. I don't know if our wonderful speakers have got anything else to add.